Brian MacLellan is happy and pleased to join with us now here live on Monumental Sports Network. The president of hockey operations. You have become nice and accustomed already to this title. How do you feel today relinquishing your GM duties?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of mixed emotions, Joe. I mean it's tough to let go. It's tough to move on, but I know we're in good hands here, and I get to still be part of the process, so it's exciting to keep doing that. I think we had a good off season, so that creates a little more excitement too. Looking forward to starting the year up next year.
And you've really worked hard in the summer, man. We've got some moves that you made all summer long to put this team back in the mix, Mac. I mean, how hard was this to pull together here this summer?
Yeah, I think every year you go in with a plan. You got things you want to accomplish, holes you want to fill, changes you want to make, and not every year you get to execute that hits all of the buttons. Some of them you usually get, some of them you miss out on. I think this year we hit on every one.
And which one on that list do you think is going to be the biggest hit?
Yeah, I'm hoping. Yeah, I hope Dubois. I think, and I think our defense is more well-rounded group now. Good balance of offense and defense, size, skating. Excited to see that, and I think we got a good tandem in net. I like all of it.
Those additions have definitely created some excitement for the Capitals fans. Now, this is not a going-away party for you, relinquishing the GM duties, but
I'm going to miss him on the road.
Yeah,
wait a second.
We know that.
yeah.
What part of the minute-by-minute, day-to-day GM stuff will you be missing the most?
Yeah, I love going down to the coaches' room every day, see what's going on, how they're reacting. There's juice in there, because when you're day-to-day operations with the coaching staff and the team, the emotions go up and down, and you got to manage them. And when you're visiting with these guys, you get a good sense of where they're at, where the team's at. Won't be able to do that as much, so I'll miss that part of it.
You've seen Chris develop into a top-tier executive. What are the qualities about him that lead you to believe that he'll be a strong NHL GM?
Yeah, I think he's put his time in, his experience in. He's a good evaluator. He's watched a lot of players. He's seen the progression of players, so he has a good feel of, this guy's going to turn into this guy's going to turn into that. He has a real good feel for the analytics part. We've built up our process analytic-wise. And he's a smart guy, he's a bright guy, and he gets along with people. So I think the whole skill set is there for him to be successful.
Now, the hierarchy seems impressive to me. Starting with Dick to you to Chris, you go on and on down the list. To me, that's going to be exciting for the fans, too, because I'm sure you're all going to have a say in all hockey operations, GM stuff, player stuff. Is that something also that could excite you too?
Yeah, I think it's good. The opportunity to work with Dick, the opportunity to work with Chris as he's grown. For me, I grew up with George too. I worked with George growing up, so I gained a lot of experience working with George. So I think it's an organizational development thing is pretty impressive what's gone on here.
Throughout the press conference, we heard AHL Hershey mentioned quite a bit. Back-to-back Calder Cup champions. They're the flagship of the American Hockey League. I'm sure you let Chris know, and Chris has been right there at the forefront, just how important it is to have a very good working relationship with them. But spell it out for us. What's most critical about having that top-flight developmental affiliate?
Yeah, I just think you want your good guys in good spots in winning programs. I think that environment is excellent down there. They value winning. It's a competitive environment. And when our guys go down, when our young guys come in, they're on a good team, they have a good role, and they get better as players. We have a track record of these guys getting better as players.
And it seems exciting, too, with some of the youngsters you guys were able to draft. Which one stands out for you, or do they all sort of think they're going to be an impressive players here in Washington?
I think this year we went in and we drafted players with a high upside. So it's, it might not have been the pick that people were projecting, but there's potential there for all of our guys. We like the 2 D-men we drafted. Parasak, we really like. Our guys love him at the junior level. They think there's a huge upside with him. A couple guys late in the rounds, too, I think are projects, but they could turn out also. So we're really excited about the draft.
Mac, your door is always going to be open to Chris Patrick. Think about back to the time when you took over from George McPhee. What do you think Chris's first phone calls to you will be about?
I think I think the emotional part of wins and losses, which are when you're the manager and you're with the coaches, there's a lot of ups and downs that go on during the year, and how do you manage that? And the manager, I think, has to take a step back from that day-to-day emotion, and he has to kind of get coaches through it, get a few of the players through it, and be a calming presence with that.
Now, one of your mentors was George McPhee, and he sort of has the same role in Vegas. Yeah, have you talked to him about that?
Yeah, I talked to him, yeah.
Okay.
Wondered how he liked it, and, as this transition was going down, got a good perspective from him on what he liked and, what he gave up and how it's going for him.
Locker's been asking you, I've been asking you about the free agent acquisitions, heading into free agency, heading into the draft, heading into development camp. You said that the organization was going to be aggressive. You were very, very true to your word. Is there still more to be done maybe on your checklist before we get into camp?
I think it could be. There could be some things, but I think we want to let it settle in here, see what we did, and, get the coaches with the players, get a more consistent lineup, and see where everybody fits in, and then make decisions based off that.
Well, I told Chris to keep it going.
Yeah.
What about up the middle? We talk about defense in the past. Now everybody's talking about strength up the middle. Just touch on the Caps, the way they can line up this upcoming season.
Yeah, I think we got good depth up the middle and a lot of variety of skill sets. Dowd's been a great player for us. We got two young guys coming in Lappy and McMichael. Stromer's had a great year. He's established himself. And then Dubois will come in, and he's going to provide a good two-way game also.
You would think somewhere in there that you'd like McMichael and Lapierre to both be on the big club roster when we break camp. You would then assume that somebody's going to move to the wing. Which of those two youngsters, Lapierre and McMichaels, may be more accustomed to it?
I think McMichael's had probably more experience, but I think the coaches will figure it out. They'll try both, I would assume, and try to create a lineup that they want to match up with certain teams and use probably both of them on wing and center going forward. And
now you just mentioned coaches. Carberry did a wonderful job last season. What made him such a good coach for your group last year?
I think he gets players, demands a lot, holds them accountable, makes them bring their game every night. And I think he was good for our young guys. I thought he was good for the older guys too. Just a good skill set of how to manage people, how to motivate, and get a good compete level out of everybody.
You mentioned it during the press conference, how Chris was around the hockey team more. We could see him on planes. We could see him in travel trips. We could see him in the rink talking with players. How often does a general manager address the players directly?
I think I think every guy's different. Sometimes you can search out certain players. Sometimes, the players that need to be left alone. I think Chris will figure out his own personality, his own path, and how he interacts with guys. I think, given his relationship with guys that have played in Hershey, I think that'll be beneficial for him with the younger guys, so it'll be exciting.
And the Patricks have quite the lineage in the National Hockey League now, right? It's impressive.
It's impressive, yes.
A family.
Unheard of.
Yeah, unheard of in
we
our
see
sport.
We see him there with the AHL Calder Cup.
Right.
Amazing that Chris and Dick Patrick are the 6th and 7th from one family to be on the Stanley Cup.
Pretty incredible.
That shook me when I read that.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow, look at that.
Things change.
Youth hockey player,
yeah.
Caps draft, amazing.
Again, I mentioned that I met Chris in my late 20s, early 30s, when I was still foolish enough to put the goalie gear on, and he would occasionally blow slap shots past me. Obviously, Chris was drafted by the Caps. I was not. When you think about the type of player that you were, the type of player that he was, does a manager look out and look down at his development chart and say, I need players like me, or like players who made it difficult for me to play against?
Yeah, probably a combination of both, Joe. I think, your experience of how you were as a player and versus, like you said, guys you played with, guys you played against. I think when you're constructing a team, you need a little bit of everything. You need the size, you need a little competitiveness, you need a skill. So you try and balance all those factors out within your team.
I want to touch on the goaltending. Sort of, Charlie took over last year, it seemed like. Now you bring in Thompson from Vegas. Are you pretty very, very happy with what you're seeing there, plus the prospects in Hershey?
Yeah, I think we have 4 good goaltenders. At various stages of development. Our 2 guys, Thompson's, establishing himself as a good number 1 in the league, and same with Charlie. So I'm excited to see what they can bring, both to our team.
Was Charlie more than expected when you first brought him in?
I think we had hopes. I think the sample size was a little small, but we saw potential. We took a gamble on him, and he took advantage of it, and really established himself.
Those 2 guys are going to push each other. I mean, Logan's an all-star in the Western Conference, a 25-game winner with Vegas. You've got 2 really good goalies at a very economical price,
right.
I might add.
Yes. You'd really like the cap hit on the goaltender.
Well, it's business and hockey, right?
Yes,
That's
right.
what it's all about
exactly.
now.
Yeah. And plus there are 2 righties.
But now it's primarily on Chris's table.
Yeah.
When those guys come walking in and hold their hand out, you show them the doorway of
Go down
Chris
and see
Patrick.
Chris.
Exactly. Don't bother me with these contract demands. Go and see Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you like, and did you like, and I'm sure you'll still be involved in it, but do you like the negotiating part of it?
I do. It's hard. It's intense. There's a lot of pressure when it's coming down to deadlines, draft, free agency deadlines. The deadlines create pressure, and it keeps you up at night. It keeps you, thinking about it constantly. So it's not an easy job to do, and when you execute, though, you feel real good about it. There's a high there. There's an adrenaline rush, and you feel good about what you've accomplished. So there's a trade-off between the 2.
And boy, that has changed. They used to just give us the number and say, do you want it, or told me right back.
180 or 190.
God, you got paid way more than me. How is that possible?
There's a few more zeros nowadays, huh? Just a few more to go. Jeez Louise. One last question while we have you, Mac, and we do appreciate all the insight on this day that Chris Patrick has been named Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Washington Capitals. One player in particular, I'm wondering how he reacted to the offseason moves. Tell us any contact, any conversations you may have had with Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah, I had, more before we went into free agency. He's, what do you think you guys are going to be able to do? Had a general discussion there, and then more texting back and forth as we accomplished some stuff. He's a big emoji guy, so we got more emojis than texts or dialogue. So, and then I talked to him to explain, Chris is taking over, and I'll still be around.
Well, let's talk about Ovi. Just continue that thought. You have real nice centers up the middle. Who do you envision him maybe starting with? Or have you even had thoughts about that?
I haven't. Carberry will have ideas on that. I think he'll try all of them. I think it's worked with Strome to a certain extent. Obviously, Dubois is going to get a chance with Ovi, see if there's a chemistry there, and they'll go from there after that.
Brian MacLellan, big thumbs up for your performance today. Make sure you're not a stranger. I'm sure you'll be in the booth more now to throw stuff at Locke.
This is like a documentary.
It sure
Thanks,
is.
buddy.
And to continue it, Al Koken and Alan May.